Madbhakta pratibuddhartho Matprasadena bhuyasa Nishayasam sasamsthanam Kaivallakyam madashayam Prapnoti anjasadhiraha Swadisha chinna samshayaha Yadgatva na nivarteta Yogi lingad vinirgame. My devotee actually becomes self-realized by unlimited causeless, by my unlimited causeless mercy, and thus free from all doubt, steadily progresses toward the destined abode. They directly under the protection of my spiritual energy of unadulterated bliss, that the ultimate perfectional goal of the living entity. After giving up the present material body, a mystic devotee goes to transcend the abode and never comes back. Yes, Supreme Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Actual self-realization means becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. The existence of a devotee implies the function of devotion and the object of devotion. Self-realization ultimately means to understand the personality of Godhead and the living entities. To know the individual self and the reciprocal exchanges of loving service between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity is real self-realization. This cannot be attained by the impersonalist or other transcendentalist. They cannot understand the science of devotional service. Devotional service is revealed to the pure devotee by the unlimited causeless mercy of the Lord. This is especially spoken of here by the Lord, Mat Prasadena, by my special grace. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Only those who engage in devotional service with love and faith receive the necessary intelligence from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that gradually and progressively they can advance to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nishreyasa means the ultimate destination. Swasamsthana indicates that the impersonalists have no particular place to stay. The impersonalists sacrifice their individuality so that the living spark can merge into the impersonal effulgence emanating from the transcendental body of the Lord. But the devotee has a specific abode. The planets rest in the sunshine, but the sunshine itself has no particular resting place. When one reaches a particular planet, then he has a resting place. The spiritual sky, which is known as Kaivalya, is simply blissful light on all sides, and it is under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.27, Brahmanohi Pratisthanaham. The impersonal Brahman effulgence rests on the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Kaivalya or impersonal Brahman. In that impersonal effulgence, there are spiritual planets which are known as Vaikunthas, chief of which is Krishna Loka. Some devotees are elevated to the Vaikuntha planets and some are elevated to the planet Krishna Loka. According to the desire of the particular devotee, he is afforded a particular abode, which is known as Swasamsthana, his desired destination. By the grace of the Lord, the self-realized devotee engaged in devotional service understands his destination even while in the material body. He therefore performs his devotional activities steadily, without doubting, and after quitting his material body, he at once reaches the destination for which he has prepared himself. After reaching that abode, he never comes back to this material world. The words Lingat Vinirgame, which are used here, mean after being free from the two kinds of material bodies, subtle and gross. The subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, false ego, and contaminated consciousness, and the gross body is made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. When one is transferred to the spiritual world, he gives up both the subtle and gross bodies of this material world. He enters the spiritual sky in his pure spiritual body and is stationed in one of the spiritual planets. Although the impersonalists also reach that spiritual sky after giving up the subtle and gross material bodies, they are not placed in the spiritual planets. As they desire, they are allowed to merge in the spiritual effulgence emanating from the transcendental body of the Lord. The word Swasamsthanam is also very significant. As a living entity, prepares himself, so he attains his abode. The impersonal Brahman effulgence is offered to the impersonalists, but those who want to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form as Narayana in the Vaikunthas or with Krishna in Krishna Loka goes to those boats where from they never return. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Chapter. Yada no yoga pachita sucheto Maya siddhasya visajjate anga Ananya hetush atame gatisha Atyantiki yatra na mrityuha saha Yada, when, na, not, yoga upachitasu, the power developed by yoga, chetaha, by attention, maya shu, the manifestations of maya, siddhasya, of a perfect yogi, visajjate, is attracted, anga, my dear mother, ananya hetushu, having no other cause. Then may to me gatihi, his progress, syat, becomes authentic, unlimited. Yatra, where? Na, not. Mrityuha saha, power of death. When a perfect yogi attains, when a perfect yogi, the attention is no longer attracted to the byproducts of mystic power, which are the manifestation of external energy, his progress towards me become unlimited, and thus the power of death cannot overcome him. When a perfect yogi's attention no longer attracted to the byproducts of mystic yoga, mystic powers, which are manifestations of the external energy, his progress towards him becomes unlimited, and thus the power of death cannot overcome him. Yes, ready, Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Purport. Yogis are generally attracted to the byproducts of mystic yogic power, for they can become smaller than the smallest or greater than the greatest, achieve anything they desire, have power even to create a planet or bring anyone they like under their subjection. Yogis who have incomplete information of the result of devotional service are attracted by these powers, but these powers are material. They have nothing to do with the spiritual progress. As other material powers are created by the material energy, mystic yogic powers are also material. As perfect yogi's mind is not attracted by any material power, but is simply attracted by unalloyed service to the Supreme Lord. For a devotee, the process of merging into the Brahman effulgence is considered to be hellish, and yogic power, or the preliminary perfection of the yogic power to be able to control the senses, is automatically achieved. As for elevation to higher planets, a devotee considers this to be simply hallucinatory. A devotee's attention is concentrated only upon the eternal loving service of the Lord, and therefore the power of death has no influence over him. In such a devotional state, a perfect yogi can attain the status of immortal knowledge and bliss. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshaya Shunyavadi Pashyata Desha Taharini. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yadana Yoga Pachita Sucheto Maya Siddhasya Visajjate Anga Ananya Hetu Ashame Gatisha Atentiki atrana mrityuha saha. When a perfect yogi, the attention is no longer attracted by the byproducts of mystic power which manifests through external energy, his progress towards me become unlimited and thus the power that cannot overcome him. Hare Krishna, I hope my audio is fine. Thank you. No longer attracted by the byproducts. Only attracted by the causeless mercy. So we are seeing constantly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, anything less than pure devotion is getting rejected. Either it is the Bhagavatam presents as parodharma, and anything less is rejected. Just like when most of the people who are not mature, they watch movies. And in that, the lower, everything is tamoguna only. And the lower tamoguna and the higher tamoguna, less tamoguna and more tamoguna. The hero is having less tamoguna and the villain is having more tamoguna. So he will somehow beat up the villain who is more tamoguna and no. But you see, that is happening. The whole plot will be around somebody very tamasic, is giving pain to people, he's harassing somebody. And the hero is also the third rate, 10th class. Because people are all Shudras only means all Tamoguna people. So among less Tamoguna, they choose more Tamoguna. And that's it. So you see, always it is happening. Everywhere we see the discrimination is happening. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. Isn't it? Everywhere that is happening. And life is for making choices. What is right, what is wrong. With a calm head, we should make those choices. And this is very advanced information, what is being given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We see that in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the information given was Akama sarvo kamo va moksha kamo dharadhi tivrena bhakti yogena vajayat purusham param. Information given was that if you have no desires, or you have all the desires, even a desire for moksha, whatever it is, just worship Shri Hari. Purusham Param. No need to worship any Devi Devatas. It's a very advanced information. Very, very advanced realization. Because Bhagavatam is talking about Paro Bhakti always. Spotless. Amala Puran. This is Amala Puran. So here also we see that mostly people, when they do bhakti, they look for either bhukti, mukti or siddhi. They look for bhukti, they look for sense gratification, and they go to the temples or other religions and they pray, give me, give me, give me. And some people, but there is no understanding of God, anything. They're just using God as a order supplier, some kind of servant who's supposed to supply my sense gratification. And there is a person, his own conception of what is punya, what is papa. And it's very relative, good. Many people say, I did so much punya, what did God give me? It's very relative what is good. Actually, the fact is nobody is good, everybody is bad. But everybody thinks, I am very good. But a devotee feels I am not worthy to serve the Lord. That's the devotee. Very nice. Nice simple. So now, so the karmi wants some kind of sense gratification and he goes to the Lord. He's not accepted on the platform of pure devotion. There is no causeless mercy and the transcendental pleasure and relationship. Okay, he has gone to the Lord, but this is not pure devotion. Kama sarva kama, he has gone to the Lord, but gradually he has to rise to the platform of feeling transcendental reciprocation from the Lord. That's what the previous shloka said, if you all notice. Transcendental reciprocation. But for that, we have to lift our devotion service to the quality of pure devotion service. Prabhupada says, loving, transcendental, pure devotion service. That what we are having in the beginning is some sentiments. It's not transcendental loving service. But as you keep practicing Krishna consciousness, the heart becomes purified. And then you feel transcendental pleasure in devotion service to the Lord. And that is what you only want. You don't want anything else. And those who do not have that, they don't know why is it being devotion service. Like let us take some cases now, analyze pure devotion, different from some kind of distraction. The Bhagavatam analyze is much better. You don't have to watch silly movies for that. Come to Bhagavatam, analyze. Much more advanced things are compared to pure devotion. So we have the example of Durvasa Muni when he came to Ambarish Maharaj. He got envious. Now, envy is that you want to dispossess somebody of something. His own life. You want to take away his life of Ambarish Maharaj, kill him. Why? Because he got so proud of having the yoga siddhis. What are the yoga siddhis that mentioned? He actually had them. But he didn't understand that devotee is greater than a yogi. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yogi nam api sarvesham madgata antaratmana shraddhavana bhajato yamam same yuktatamu mataha. You know, in all this, again, silly movies that people watch. If the spiritualist is what is shown as the greatest, who is a tantric, you know, some yoga siddhis he has, and you know, he does something, boom, 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 boom. Why? The devotee is greater than Ambarish Maharaj was not having any yoga siddhis. He was having transcendental pleasure in service to Krishna, which is the unlimited causeless mercy of Krishna. If you want to ask something to Krishna, ask this pure transcendental pleasure of service to him. If you have some brain substance, if your brain is dead and dud, then you ask all silly material thing. Just use your common sense. No? Little common sense can't you use? So the Durvasa Muni made a big mistake. And then he came. And what did he want? He was envious of him. Because Ambarish Maharaj was being worshipped by the whole kingdom. Is that why he's worshipped? I should be worshipped. I have yoga siddhis. It doesn't have anything. I am a great yogi. You know, when you want something, and somebody else has it, you become envious. But it's not in transcendental pleasure because you can share. Somebody has it. See, suppose somebody has something, you cannot have it, material things. Spiritually, not that like that way. Somebody has pleasure of service to Krishna, you serve him, you get that. Mahat seva dwara mahur mukte Tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. Mahaseva, you serve great souls. What do you get? They share with you. Like Narad Muni was a small boy. He was able to, with the service to the Bhakti Vedantas, he didn't become envious of the Bhakti Vedantas who was taking pleasure in glorifying Krishna. Rather, he could feel the pleasure they are having. And what did he do? He served them. He even took their prasadam, uchishta, by their permission, not without their permission. And then he served them. And the mercy and blessings of the Bhakti Vedanta, the blessed him were going in his heart, service to Krishna awakened. And he became a devotee unparalleled in the history. There is no comparison to Narad Muni's service. Prabhupada says unique in his own way. So unique. So much devotion he got. So transcendental service is such a thing that there is no competition. You can say my Krishna, you can also say my Krishna. Now, can somebody say like that, this is my wife, other says it is also my wife. वो तो होगा agree, कोई agree नहीं करेगा, पिटाई होगा उसका, है ना? Can you say like that? But Krishna, I can say my Krishna. You can also say it is my Krishna. Everybody, whole world can say my Krishna. And Krishna is actually personally his. Krishna is not that you wait in the queue. Now I'm talking to this devotee and maybe I don't have time to talk to you. No, Krishna is available for everybody. Is everybody's Krishna. So beautiful. So transcendental loving devotion service. This is what actually Krishna gives. And that is the only thing we should ask. So Durvasa Muni did not know what to ask. He asked for some silly siddhis. And became, because people clap. If you say walk on water, if you can create a Rakshasa out of here, then everybody says, oh. But somebody is sitting and says, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. Amrish Maharaj, mind was always in the lotus feet of Krishna. Vacham Sivaikuntha Gunanu Bhanane. His mouth was always glorifying the Krishna. Karor Harer Mandira Mardanadishu. Huh? Yes, Karor Harer. So with the hand, the pujaris are cleaning the temple of the Lord. Shrutim Chakara Chuta Shatakatho. With the ears, they are hearing nice Sankirtana when they are doing Arti or after the Puja. So like that, it says he was engaged and all his desires in serving Krishna, he had no other desire. Man is such an advanced personality and is having great transcendental pleasure. And anything material, even if you have it, it can go away. Say, you have some siddhis, it can be lost. Like Hiranyakashipu, when he tried to touch his pure devotee child, Prahlad Maharaj lost everything. Even his sister Holika had a blessing that she will not burn. But she tried to use the siddhi to kill Prahlad Maharaj, but actually reverse happened. Her siddhi was taken away. So when you have the siddhi, you use against somebody dear to Krishna, the siddhis are taken when you're punished. So we have so many examples like that. Didn't work. Didn't work. You take something in the wrong way, it will not work. So, but the pleasure of service to Krishna cannot be taken. Say, bhukti, sense gratification which comes by for the karmis, if they do devotion service, whatever little they do, there is contamination of, therefore it is not called Shuddha Bhakti Yoga, it is called Karma Yoga. Better than not doing something, they are doing something, but they are desiring some sense gratification and doing service. It's not very pleasing, and it's dangerous. Utpaditi kalpate Smriti Puranadi Pancharatri Kirvidimbana Ekantitiki Harer Bhakti Utpaditi Kalpate. Those people who are doing devotion service with great intention of material desire, they can cause great disturbance because the material desire may overcome them and they can fall down from devotion service. So Durvasa Muni thought, so karmi means he wants sense gratification and, that contamination is there. The Jnani wants to merge into Brahma Jyoti, that contamination is there. And Yogi wants some siddhis. So we have so many examples of people who are contaminated in these ways. And Bhagavatam points out, but actually this is not pure devotion. This is not the standard of pure devotion. So they lost. You see, Indra was fighting with Vritasura. What was Indra desiring? If I can kill this demon, I can peacefully rule this world and enjoy my senses nicely with the Apsaras. And he was very happy after the war when he won. He was very happy. He killed Vritasura and I killed him with this, my Vajra weapon. And he was laughing and I'm enjoying now. Correct? But true, Indra also came to know that actually he touched a pure devotee during the discussions of the war. And but the point is that his desire for satisfaction was a kingdom of heaven. And Vritasura, all he wanted was transcendental pleasure in service to Krishna. Therefore, after Vritasura died, he actually was a very interesting battle. Vritasura was a pure devotee, previous life Chitraketu. So he was enjoying, let us analyze Chitraketu's life and take the whole life and see how transcendent pleasure to service Krishna became the victory, rest of the things became waste. Let us look at it. So Chitraketu was enjoying the transcendental pleasure to service to Krishna. He knows it cannot be taken away. He was very happy. By the blessing of Narada and his Guru, he had become an extraordinary great devotee. He got darshan of the Lord. And after taking darshan of the Lord, Bhagwan ka darshan hua tha. Uske baad kya hua? You can all see the beautiful puppet show is there. Chitraketu ISKCON puppet show Chitraketu. Okay? All of you get time? ISKCON puppet show Chitraketu. See that. You'll have great fun. So now what happens is that, just analyze this. So he's in great pleasure on service to Krishna. Previously he was not like that. He was attracted to having a child and all. Like coming off, with a desiring, material desire. And Narada corrects him. And sometimes in life we can know Krishna reveals. And Chitraketu understood actually his devotion is on a material platform and he came to the spiritual platform. When he was on the spiritual platform, by the blessing of Narada, he got darshan of the Lord. And then he was roaming in an aeroplane and relishing the transcendental pleasure of service to Krishna. Even though he was the king of the Gandharvas, surrounded by so many beautiful women, his mind was totally on the pleasure of service to Krishna. And then he went to Kailasha and he saw Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. He is almost Vishnu. Milk and curd, that's all the difference. And he is in the transcendental pleasure of service to Krishna. So he says that, he sees that, and in ecstasy, without any offense to Lord Shiva, he starts laughing. So what happened? So Shiva also smiles because he knew why he laughed was his wife was sitting in his lap. And that's not the way to give a class, People will imitate that. Sab log class lenge aise, biwi ko godi bata ke. It will not be correct thing. So that's all he meant. And Lord Shiva just smiled. Because there is no offense. He's just pointing out something which is not regular, not a very good example. But it doesn't affect the conscience of Lord Shiva. And he's still on that position also, he can take beautiful Bhagavatam. I told you he's almost Vishnu. And then what happened? Parvati took an exception to this and she felt that the transgression has to be corrected. Because it's a bad example. Not everybody should go around condemning everybody. They should not go around doing aparadhas. So she wanted to make a case out of it. And she condemned him. My dear son, she said, you become a demon because you have offended a great Vaishnava. She took an office. And then, now look at the Chitraketu. At the time, they were Chitraketu. Chitraketu is only after transcendental pleasure and service to Krishna, the mercy which he has already received. He got the darshan of the Lord and he is recipient of the unlimited causeless mercy of Krishna. And he comes now, he is in ecstasy of love of Krishna. For him, becoming a demon or a thing is immaterial. Immaterial. They say now, Matrivat Paradayeshu, Paradarveshu, Loshtava. All this stone or gold, but somebody in spiritual ecstasy, he proves himself to that. He is not disturbed by that. Now, from a king of the Gandharva, just imagine you are being made a demon. It's a very tough situation. You will become very disturbed. When you're dispossessed of your comforts and wealth, everybody becomes very disturbed. But he doesn't become disturbed at all. He comes, pays obeisances to Mother Parvati. Say, my mother, I accept your punishment. It's all by karma, things go on here and there. It's all fine. I accept. He accepts punishment. Because he is entranced in under pleasure to Krishna, for him becoming from the king to a demon is immaterial. It just doesn't bother about it. Just doesn't bother about it. And he becomes actually a demon. And when he's becoming a demon, it's a very interesting story. Indra made a mess of killing one great Brahmana, Vishwarupa. The big story, another story behind it. But anyway, Indra had offended his guru Brahaspati. He was so much intoxicated of power, and he was so much intoxicated by his beautiful woman around. Being intoxicated in the situation. When you are intoxicated like this, you forget spiritual life. His guru enters Brahaspati in the assembly, he even ignores his presence. Totally. Sometimes people are like that. Then what happens? When he goes away, Indra feels bad because he's not ordinary like us. Indra is king of the Devatas. So he feels he had done a mistake. He looks for the guru. The guru is invisible. He cannot find his guru Brahaspati. And without the guidance, without the mercy of his guru, he easily gets defeated. Now Indra wants to do some yagna, homa to get his post. So he calls one guru called Vishwarupa, three-headed. He had 3 heads. Vishwarupa was connected to both the family, the Devata family, Davana family. So when doing the puja for Indra, secretly he was also giving some prasadam to the Danavas. So Indra got very irritated when he saw that, and in anger, with his vajra, he removed the 3 heads. Now this became Brahmahatya from the hand of Indra. He had so many things are there now going on. And finally, now the situation reached that the father of that Vishwarupa, if the name I am correct, somebody can correct me, the 3-headed guru of Indra who did the homa for him. So now his father, Twashta, his father does homa. And then in that homa, he prays for a demon who will kill Indra. By mistake, the pronunciation becomes a demon whom Indra will kill. Just one dirgha. The plan was to get a demon who will kill Indra. But he pronounced the wrong pronunciation. It became a demon who will kill him. So, see, you have to pronounce correctly. So that's what happened. Swaha, Swaha, just like, the example of, what is an example of? Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna wanted to ask Indrasana. By mistake, he said, mispronounced, Nidrasana. He got a bed to sleep all the time. So similarly, little mistake done. Now was born a demon, and very, very powerful demon, Vritrasura. He was so powerful that the Devatas saw him, they panicked. And they threw weapons at him and he caught them like this and tuck. But anyway, the story goes on. Now, this Chitraketu becomes that demon. And when the war is going on, Indra had the weapon actually, because the Devatas, when they could not fight with Asura, they went to Vishnu as usual. When they cannot manage, they go to Vishnu for a prayer. So they asked Vishnu, please help us. So what did Vishnu do? He said, okay, go to Dadichi, and from the bones of his body, you can make a Narayana Astra, which will, only by that you can kill Vritrasura. They go to Dadichi. Dadichi, please give your bones. The Dadichi is also a self-realized person. He doesn't mind giving his body. But he plays with Devata sometime. How can he body? Body is the source by which I can enjoy my senses. You're telling me to give my body. How can I give my body? And then he smiles and he does meditation and he leaves the body. That body falls on the ground. He leaves his body and goes. Very, very advanced spiritualist. Krishna will not ask them to go for ordinary person. And the bones of his body, which were all sanctified by his great tapasya, actually they could make very special weapon, all Narayana Astra. Now Indra came in the battle to fight with Vritrasura. Now, Vritasura, interestingly in this battle, continuously offers prayers to the Lord in pure devotion. And Indra, when he hears the prayer, he's actually gets a shock. He says, devotees, pure devotees like this, Muktanam, Siddhanam, Narayana Padanaha, Kotishu Mahamune. Forgetting the third line, he says, Kotishu Api Mahamune. Among crores of great souls, we can find one pure devotee of Krishna. So don't think it's a joke, pure devotee. Pure devotee is very, very rare. And therefore, that is the rarest thing if you want to achieve. Getting bhukti, getting mukti, getting siddhi is not a big deal. Don't ask these things from Krishna. Ask pure devotion. If you want to follow the Bhagavata line. So Vritasura was asking for pure devotion, causeless mercy of Krishna. He was in that mood. In the war, he had various attempts when he could kill Indra. He did not do because he wanted Narayana Astra to be honored. When Indra first threw his one big gada at him, Vritasura caught that gada, like, something like small, one stick. He caught it and hit the head of Airavata with that stick. Now Airavata fell on one side. Indra fell on another side. Our king Indra. And his weapon is also slipped from his hand. Now Vritasura can just take one more step and make chutney out of Indra and kill him. The opportunity was there. He said, Indra, pick up that weapon. The Lord's weapon. No, it should not fail. Right? Get up. He doesn't kill him. He had a full chance. Then Indra gets up, very embarrassed, picks up his vajra, and then he cuts his hand. Now again, Vritasura had an opportunity. What he did was that he opened his mouth because he is born to fight with Indra. He's just doing his duty. At the same time, his heart is not there. And he keeps offering prayers in the battle to Krishna. And Indra is struck with wonder that I'm fighting with a pure devotee. And how it is. He was remembering Prahlad, and Daitya family, such a exalted devotee. He was doing his task beautifully, he was doing his task. Then Vritasura opened his mouth and swallowed Indra. And then, after that, having done his duty, he was born from a homa for his duty, he left his body and went to spiritual world. It's not a dead body. Now, Vritasura came out, so Indra came out with his vajra, making a hole in his stomach, and he came out. And slowly it took him a year, he cut his head. It was like a mountain. Slowly his head. But the dead body. He's already gone to the spiritual world. So you see, even though he was insulted by and taken away, even though he had not done anything wrong, it was taken away. His whole throne was taken away as king of the Gandharvas. He had no problem. He was smiling. Even though he was killed by Indra, he was smiling. So isn't that the greatest thing you want to achieve? We see Bali Maharaj, similar case. Everything was taken away from him. Still he was in devotion, ecstasy inside. Externally he was acting. Internally he was in devotion, ecstasy, seeing the Lord, offering everything to the Lord. You see Prahlad Maharaj, our hero, same thing is happening. His father is every day coming to kill him. He's not at all disturbed with all the pure devotion, cannot be taken away. Why have to desire? But when you start desiring material enjoyment, you get envious of another person. Then you come on a material platform. Then you're not on a spiritual platform. Therefore, whenever the mind gets disturbed by any kind of weakness, just sit and chant. Immediately come on a spiritual platform. Immediately you're thrown on a spiritual platform. And everything becomes peaceful. Correct? This was the rule in ISKCON. The proper time, since proper time. Anybody disturbed, chant Hare Krishna and be happy to be peaceful. There's no need to be disturbed. Everybody should be happy. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Because the real thing is life is transcendental pleasure. And which is a causeless mercy of Krishna. That only you get when service to Krishna is offered without the desire for sense gratification, without the desire for merging to Krishna, without the desire for siddhis. Just like say you are there. Isn't it common sense? You would say somebody comes to you. I said, how are you? Fine. "Oh, you look so smart today. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Now, can you give me a loan? I want some money. So what do you think? This person is selfish. Actually, he had no desire to serve me. He actually had no desire to glorify me. He actually came to take some advantage out of me. That's how the word is. You appreciate, you understand? That's how the word is. They're trying to take an advantage out of it. So that's how this word is bhukti, mukti, siddhi. All people are actually desiring something. So their service to Krishna is not very pleasing. But when service to Krishna is done without all this desire, just for the pleasure of the Lord, isn't it? You want to rise to that platform just for the pleasure. All other are kami, lusty, bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakale, ashanta. Till the time you have some personal profit out of service to Krishna, you'll always be ashanta. Watch out yourself. You'll not be peaceful. You don't need anybody's certificate. And I want certificate that I am a pure devotee. Sabko certificate chahiye. Level 2, level 3, level 4. Yes, a paper. This is not a mark of pure devotion. So if you actually, you don't have to ask somebody, are you fully happy and satisfied in devotional service? Because if you are feeling desire for sense gratification, a desire for a moksha, desire for siddhis, then all these things make you envious of other people. Yeah? Watch out in your heart, is there any envy for anybody? Are you feeling negative about anybody? So the devotee feeling transcendental pleasure to Krishna is easy be able to follow all the rules. In Bhagavad Gita it is said the various symptoms of somebody who self-realized. So person actually comes on that planet and is so peaceful and happy and enjoying pleasure of service to Krishna. So when you do service to Krishna, definitely there is some product. Dhanam, people will give dakshina. Janam, you will get followers. Sundari, you have some beautiful women following you. People desire all these three things in this world. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitama jagati shikamaye, mama janmani janmaneshware bhavatat bhakti hetukiti. My Lord, I don't want all these things. I just want pure devotion to you. By birth after birth, forever. I just want your transcendental pure pleasure of service to your Lord. So you see your heart, very deeply meditate in your heart, and therefore we need association devotees to pull out these weeds. The association devotees, we share the pleasure of service to Krishna. When you serve Vaishnavas, by their blessings, you get the taste of service to Krishna. Shushusho Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi, the Ruchi, Katha Ruchi. How do you get? Chyan Mahatsevaya, Mahatseva, by serving of great Vaishnava, you get the pleasure of service to Krishna. And when you get pleasure of service to Krishna, therefore Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So just by momentary association of the devotee, we can get all perfection. The pleasure of service to Krishna doesn't need time. By moment, it can be absorbed within the heart. So that is what we should look for and try to advance the spiritual life. It is said, no, tarka pratisha shutaya vivinna. Just by argument or by different readings, by meeting various sages, it will not help. Dharmasya tattam nihitam guhaya mahajano yen kata sapartaha. The great soul is keeping in his heart pleasure of service to Krishna. Get that. That's all. That's all you need. The rest of the things are immaterial. So what we are seeing here is that actually transcendental service to Krishna has been upheld as the greatest thing. Another thing, desiring some material perfection in the world, some name, fame in this world, is being rejected. Desiring some siddhis. So we should not be after some product. And situations will come, it will be tested. Whether you're doing devotion service for some name, fame, or you're doing it just for the pleasure of Krishna. It will be tested, and then things will be, then gets an, if you're introspective, you get an opportunity to advance spiritually and notice the imperfection in my heart that I'm doing devotion service just for name and fame. By doing devotion purposes, therefore, we said so many times, devotee is a silent worker, not self-advertising. silently devoted words for the pleasure of Krishna, and everything becomes wonderful. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Thank you. There's an audio problem. I hope more or less it was fine. The audio was fine. Okay, thank you everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Thank you.